forgot my coffee. As you know, I always gotta have my coffee with me. Especially when I'm talking about controversial topics, like keep my energy up. Alright. Got it. Oh, jeez. Got it. Hello, Starlings. This is my first time ever trying a Dunkin' Donuts, not iced coffee, frozen coffee. It's a little bit different, but I really like it. And I have enough energy to talk about an actually really important topic. And this time it's not gonna go on Patreon, it's gonna go on my YouTube. I usually talk about controversial things on Patreon. It's a smaller audience, it's a smaller Starling family, but today I will be talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and a couple of things that have been going on in the United States for a couple of days, almost a couple of weeks now. Like a week or two now. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Black Lives Matter movement is, it actually started in 2013, 2014, back when young Trayvon Martin was shot and killed. And it is basically a statement to where people that are in the minority, the movement stands for showing respect and wanting equality for all walks of life, not just people that are dominantly white. That's like the quickest way I can explain it in like a quick synopsis form. Now, do I stand for the Black Lives Matter movement? Of course I do. I feel like anyone should be able to leave their house and know that they can be safe and they can be protected by our law enforcement system and our justice system for those who need justice to be served. Back when Mr. George Floyd had died, there had been a huge movement in the Black Lives Matter movement to where people had started doing peaceful protests that then turned into riots. Now, the media, the mainstream media such as CNN, Fox News, etc., are trying to paint the picture that the protests have either always started out to become riots or protesters were just using Mr. Floyd's death as a means to riot, loot, and take greed and become greedy and take things into their own hands when that's not entirely the case. 1 second. Okay, now, the protests did start out peaceful. Within Minneapolis, that's where the first protests had started taking place. And then as things progressed, people have been noticing that people were starting to loot the local Target. The reason Target was targeted is because they were refusing to sell equipment, things to counteract the tear gas that was being thrown by the police force. So they decided to take it into their own hands. And the CEO of Target later went on to say that they were going to take care of the employees there and take care and rebuild the Target store there because a building can be rebuilt, but a life cannot be brought back. That's basically how they put it. It was also shown that some of the rioters were actually undercover police officers. One was, I think his name was Mr. Paul. Paul was either his first or his last name. I cannot remember off the top of my head. He was proven by his ex-wife to have been the one to start the first riots at the Minneapolis protests. And if you just go to people's social media, they are posting both sides of the police brutality against the protesters and rioters disguising themselves as protesters, taking advantage of the situation and turning it into something that it should never be, which is an uprising of total anarchy. Do I stand behind the people looting and robbing the stores of small family like mom and pop's businesses? Of course I do not, because I don't see those people as protesters. They are simply becoming greedy and using this to their advantage because you can't tell a protester apart from a rioter, sad to say, because it could be anybody. And it's very hard to tell who's an undercover cop or who really is just wanting to destroy things for the sake of destroying things. There's also been reports, so anyone who is protesting, please be careful. Traffickers, predators are taking advantage of the situation just like thieves and robbers. They are going up to women claiming to be interviewers with cameras. They want to interview you and take you away from the crowd. Some have been stopped, other women have just been outright kidnapped during some of these protests. So I do advise you, if you do go to protest, be very, very safe, be very careful, and go in groups of people you trust, and do not disperse from your groups. People also are trying to say Black Lives Matter is a domestic terrorist organization, which is not true at all. It kind of made me laugh when I saw some people say that, and I thought they were joking, and they said, no, Lita, we are absolutely serious. You are part of a domestic terrorist group. And to that I say it's BS. Why do I say that? Because we are not saying that white lives are not valued. Of course they are. My dogs are messing around. We are not saying, hey, Lolita, your life is not important because you are not black, you are not Asian, you are not... We're not saying that. There's a lot of posters now going around, oh, there's a cat. Oh, hi, chunky boy. He's coming like right up to my door. I'd show you, but it's the front of my house. Oh, it's a little chunky boy. Because I think some people kind of get the whole racism and economic class thing kind of confused. Because I am not saying that if you're white you have an easy life. Trust me, that's not what we're saying at all. What we are trying to say is just because your life as a white person is hard doesn't mean you can just push aside people that are being killed simply for their skin color and or what they identify as, including the LGBT community. I saw these posters and I really liked it. I posted it to my story. I've been very active talking about this on my Instagram. It says, we said Black Lives Matter. Never did we say only Black lives do matter. We know that everyone's life is important and valued. We just need help with the Black Lives Matter movement for those lives that are currently in danger. And it was just updated that the killer of George Floyd is now being charged with second-degree murder instead of third-degree murder / manslaughter, which is very good, and his the other 3 cops are now also being charged with aiding and abetting a murder. Just to catch everyone up that may not watch the news. And it kind of annoys me when I hear that our president had decided to make Antifa label it as a terrorist organization. Now, for those of you who don't know what fascism is, or Antifa, it's basically anybody that is against fascism. And the biggest group that you will all know is a fascist group is the Nazis. Antifa is not an organization. They have no leader, they have no group, they have no building or headquarters. It is anyone who is against fascism. So I'm, I guess now, a terrorist because I'm against fascism. But the KKK, which is still active to this day, is not labeled a terrorist organization. Please, somebody in the comments make it make sense. Because I can't understand it. Now, will I go to protests? Will I riot? No. Will I spread awareness to the most of my abilities? Yes. And for those who say that I am being racist to white people, you're kind of an idiot. Because the oppressors cannot become the oppressed. You can be stereotyped, but you cannot be oppressed. And it really irks me when people try saying that I am being racist towards my own kind. Go ahead and say what you want. But I do stand for those who want to be heard. I guess it's just a controversial topic for wanting everyone to feel safe in this world. Never knew that would be controversial, huh? And people all of a sudden really like quoting MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., for saying he would not want this. He would want peaceful protests. It's kind of ironic that you say that because he did peaceful protests and he was arrested up to 20 to 29 times, beaten, and murdered. He was killed and all he did were peaceful protests. The government will not listen to peace. And if it is convenient for you, the government can overlook it. That's why there was an uprising. Do I condone it? No, I would love for peaceful protests to work. But sadly, they don't. Because it makes it convenient for them to overlook it because it's not seen as an issue. I don't condone the violence that's going on both sides. I hate seeing when the police abuse their power at these riots, and I hate seeing people go into the suburbs or into the small businesses and rob people just because they can. And it does warm my heart when I saw the commissioner at Flint, Michigan's police department decided to march with the people. And I don't understand why every other police department can't just do the same thing. If you really are saying that, hey, we understand that everyone's life is valued and everyone's life on this earth is important, why fight something you believe in? Why go against what should be right? And this isn't black versus white. This is everyone against racists. And that's how I see it as well, as well as so many other people. Are there radical people in the Black Lives Matter movement? Of course. There are radical people in every type of movement and group and belief. However, just know that all I'm saying for myself is that I am fighting for everyone to be able to feel safe with our police force. I don't want to fear the police, and I don't want my family members, some who are people of color, to fear the police when they're driving by. You shouldn't have to be scared of those who are supposed to protect you. And that is all I have to say on that. Anything else you want to try and put into what I'm saying is not true. But I will answer any questions that people do have about my beliefs that maybe I completely forgot to mention or skipped over.
For everyone saying that burning buildings down isn't going to do anything or that rioting doesn't work, name something that will work. Because the black community has already tried peaceful protesting. Do you think America ended slavery because it was a nice gesture? Or that gay rights just came out of nowhere? The right to vote for women and people of color? They all came from rioting. America came from rioting. The Boston Tea Party? The Boston Tea Party happened because they weren't being heard. The peaceful delivery of their concerns were falling on deaf ears of the British. And if you're not angry right now, please listen. Pay attention to what's happening. Their pain and their hurting are very real. Because change won't come unless those who aren't affected are angry too. There are so many ways we could be helping right now. Having a profile picture isn't enough. We could sign petitions, spread awareness, send love to the black community, donate if you're able, show up to protests if you're able, take action.
Hey Trump supporters, this is the man you support. And this wasn't even about George Floyd. Another man, a whole ass year ago, same situation.
Where's my husband? Where'd you go? Where's my husband?
Dictator Trump tweeted out that media falsely claimed violent riots were peaceful and that tear gas was used against rioters. He went on to say that Washington, D.C. was the safest place on earth last night. Shall I show the truth?
And mounted police to clear what has been an entirely peaceful protest. Not 98%, not 99%, but 100% peaceful protest here. That's a photographer. That's going on now. Member of the press. Now there's just
fired with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go. They're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely. Oh, whoa.
Going hoo, ha, hoo, ha. The police have just now declared this to be an unlawful assembly. Nothing is violent, nothing's broken. They're laying in the grass. Apparently we have 2 minutes to disperse.
Dispersing.
What is...
These are cops right here destroying everything! You're gonna take the materials of us trying to peacefully protest? You are aggressive! And the police are taking the... You are aggressive! You guys are listening to this all right now.
There's no weapon! Why are you intimidating her? What the fuck are you intimidating for?
Don't touch her. Do not fucking touch her. Don't fucking touch her. We're fucking... Stop! 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 Stop!
I want every white person in this room who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
But that's kind of all I really have to say. I have been wanting to make a video like this ever since this whole event had started to occur. I wanted to just put everything out into one video so I can refer people to it and they can ask questions in the comments below, so it's an isolated area, because I don't want to have to keep bringing up what I believe in, why I believe in it, and I really don't like when people try telling me that I'm a terrorist. I'm not. I'm just for people wanting to feel safe in a safe environment, in a safe country. This is supposed to be a wonderful country. It's supposed to be great, but sadly, it is not. And those who turn a blind eye to this because it makes you uncomfortable, you're kind of part of the problem. Think of it as your own child was, say, like in Mr. Floyd's situation. Think of it kind of like that. I think of some of my family members who are people of color, and if they went through that situation, I'd be furious. And you should too. But I will not push or pressure. Just don't call me a terrorist, because I'm not. But with all that being said, Starling, thank you so much for watching this video. It's going to be a short one. I'm really sorry. I really do apologize. All my social media links are down in the description box below, so you guys can hit me up and talk. I try to answer as many comments as I can during the day. My books are also down below, along with coupon codes to multiple different stores for you to save some money. Be sure to comment down below what your thoughts are on this huge movement. When do you think the revolution's gonna begin? And leave a like. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. But with all that being said, I will see you all later.